We all know there is nothing that BMW fans like more than buying last gen BMWs. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you everything there is to know about the BMW F Chassis. So around 2008, BMW came up with the F Chassis and they started with the F01, which was the 7 Series at the time. And they later on ended it 10 years after in 2018 with the X4M, which was the F98 chassis. The F Chassis cars came with a few different engine configurations. So every generation BMW has two types or two generations or whatever you want to call it. The LCI and the Pre-LCI. The LCI is short for life cycle impulse and it's just a fancy way of saying it's a facelifted car. There are two types of engines that also come with the LCI and the Pre-LCI models, and I'm gonna start from the beginning, from the Pre-LCI ones. Starting with the smallest engine, BMW made the N13 engine with 1.6 liters turbocharged inline 4 that made 130 horsepower and a little bit of torque. But you can actually really tune those engines to make a lot more power. I know a lot of people who are making 250 to 300 horsepower from their N13s with met injections and forged internals and blah, blah, blah. Big potential there, so don't be discouraged. They came in the 1.6 variants, like the 1.16, 3.16, whatever you see that has a 1.6 N13. Then we had the 320i and the 328i, which is what we have right here. It's a 328i. It came with the N20 engine. So whatever you see that has a 20i or 28i basically came with the N20 engine. These came with two configurations, N20. In the 20i, we were making roughly 184 horsepower, and the 28i is 248 horsepower. Slightly different tuning, slightly different internals, but basically the same block. Quite capable engines, 2-liter, turbocharged, inline 4, not a lot of tuning capabilities. Maybe you can push 350 horsepower if you are lucky, but anything above that is gonna be a problem with you. And these engines have a major flaw with the timing chain that has to be replaced every 100,000 kilometers if you don't wanna lose your engine, because BMW, if you have one of these cars, make sure to make it a part of your maintenance. I don't know what to say. Don't be a cheap ass. I'm talking to BMW at this point. Then we have the holy grail, which is the N55 engine, 3-liter inline 6 turbocharged, making 300 horsepower with huge potential. I've seen a lot of people who tune these cars to like 600 horsepower, which is insane. But if you're a true enthusiast, unlike me, you will definitely go for the N55, which comes with the 35i engine. So 135, 235, 335, 535, or whatever other chassis you want to go for. If you really want the closest experience to M cars, then you should definitely go for the N55s. The N55s have that sweet, buttery, smooth BMW inline 6 engine sound, and they sound so much better. I think the N55 is the dream of every teenager out there, because it sure as hell was mine. Good thing they are really hard to come by where I live. Right around 2016, BMW came up with the LCI variants of these cars and completely shattered the universe. B Series engines, which is what they are still using in their cars right now in the G Series. So let's talk about that. Smallest of them all being the B38, which comes in the 1.8i variants, like the 1.18, 2.18, 3.18, and these engines are the smallest freaking engines that you can find in a modern BMW. They're only 3 cylinders, 1.5 liters. They have a single turbo, making around 130 horsepower. As you can see, 3.16 old news, 3.18 new news, if that makes sense. Then we have the 20i's and the 30i's. 20i stayed the same with the naming, and 28i suddenly turned into 30i. I don't know if that makes sense. But B48, 4 cylinders, inline 4, turbocharged, 184, 250 horsepower, exactly the same numbers as the N20 was making. They fixed some major flaws with the N20 in the B48. And if you look closely enough, B38, B48, and later on we have the B50. B48s come in a variety of different cars with the 20i and 30i designation. They also come in the 30e variations like the 330e. The B48 is actually quite capable because from factory, BMW makes something like the X2 M35i, which you would think is a 3-liter, just like we talked about. It's actually a 2-liter B48, making 300 horsepower from factory. Then we have the B58, which is the holy grail of the B series. It comes in the cars coming with the 40i designations like 140i, 240i, 340i. It also comes in the brand new Supra. But by far the best thing about an F Chassis BMW is they have already depreciated by quite a lot. So the barrier to entry is quite low and anyone could basically get into one of these cars if you can afford the maintenance, because chances are the previous owner probably hasn't. Just saying. Then we have the M cars that I could make a whole separate video about them. Basically the M2 started with the N55, which is technically not an M engine. Then they went to the S55, which is an M engine with the M2 competition. Then we have the M3 and M4, S55, pretty standard, around the 400 to 450 horsepower range. The S55 in the M2 competition, M3 and M4, is a 3-liter inline 6 that has 2 turbos, and the car sounds like you're farting in a tin can. Let me know down below in the comments if you think the S55 sounds good. It doesn't. And then we have the M5 with the S63 engine. Another point about these cars is that since BMW left hydraulic power steering behind and moved to electronic power steering in the F chassis, if you're coming from the E chassis, it's gonna handle a little different because, of course, electronic, hydraulic. So there's less feedback. It might feel weird to you in the beginning, but it's still much better, in my opinion, than the G chassis, which is just numb as hell. And also, I have minimal experience with the E chassis, but from what I have heard, a lot of people say that the F chassis is a little more reliable than the E chassis, but that might also be because E chassis cars are older and the F chassis cars are newer. They're not the same age. Maybe that has something to do with it. I do not know. As far as increasing the power on these cars, you can pretty much do the same basic in all of them. Basic bolt-ons like catless downpipes, cold air intake, intercooler, charge pipes and boost pipes for longevity, a stage 2 tune like boot mod or a custom tune or whatever you want. These basic tasks can increase your power normally by 20 to 30%. Not too bad if you ask me. But if you're gonna do that, please calm down with the burble tune, because like I can't stop hearing it. Like every single F chassis BMW that does a tune, oh my, calm down. These cars come in 3 different trims: luxury, sport, M sport. If you see this on an F30, this is an M Sport. This car was not an M Sport. This car used to look like this. Luxury line and sport line, similar bumpers. M Sport gets a thumbs up. M Sport also comes with stiffer suspension. It's a bit lower, comes with a different trim inside. The steering wheel looks nicer. Everything about an M Sport is slightly better. It has better seats in some cases. It's not a like life and death type of situation. You can still be fine with a luxury line. They are more affordable and you can always change up the bumpers. It's still not the same, but can look the same. But whatever you do, please don't do a half-assed M conversion. Even if you really want the M look, do the full kit. Get the bumper, get the hood, get the fenders, maybe roll out your rear fenders a little bit, make it look proper. For the love of God, if I see another half-assed M body kit, I'm gonna not do anything because it's none of my business. In terms of look, basic cookie cutter BMW. Put an M Sport body kit if you don't have one. If you have one, front lip, side skirts, rear spoiler, diffuser, done. You have added at least 100 horsepower to your car. Your car is done. You have a build now. You can go show off at car meets. It's amazing what you can do with these cars. And this applies to every F chassis. Don't for a second think I'm only talking about the F30. No, F doesn't matter. F10, F20, F30, F40. The Ferrari, I mean. Bro, that was so cringe. If you want to be a baller, you get a rim job and you lower your car with some coilovers, or if you're cheap, go with a lowering spring. Good luck with you and your shocks, because BMW makes unreliable shocks. No, they don't. The biggest thing about these cars, they have a big community. There is loads and loads and loads of people who have these cars, and loads of people who have done a lot to these cars. So everything you want to know is already out there. You get to meet a lot of good people and make new friends. Hopefully that makes up for the big financial dip that you're putting yourself into, because